All right, everybody, welcome back to the Seven Figure Seller Summit. My name is Gary Huang. Today is day 5. Today's the last mile. I mean, it's been an amazing week. We've had so many people tune in from all over the world. So I'm super excited that you guys can join us. And today's focus will be a live recap talking about exits and how to prepare your business to sell your business. All right. So we're expecting a couple more guests that are running a little late today, so I'm just going to kick things off so we start off on time. So, again, this is live. So, if you can see and hear us, can you please type your name in the chat and where you're watching from? And also, I'm curious for people that have been tuning in throughout the week. Day one, we started out talking about mindset and the fundamentals. Day two, then we transitioned to marketing and branding, all these strategies, what's working right now, what we should focus on. Day three, then we went into scaling your business, right? How to work on your business, not in your business. Day four was all about profitability. I'm curious, what were some of the top takeaways that you guys got from the sessions? I know, some people really like sessions by Vadim, on day two, talking about images. It's not just a matter of putting images on your listing, is also like diving into the psychology of what is working, to get your customer to actually click add to cart, right? So it's deeper than that. So I'm just curious, before we get started, was the number one or like a couple top takeaways that you've gotten from the summit so far? So let me know in the chat. All right. So we're just kicking things off here. And so today, again, it's day 5. The focus is on exits, how to position your business to sell it. And we're very privileged. We had several speakers that have exited their business. Lucy Sherman, she's a 7-figure seller that is based in Australia. And her and her business partner, they were able to build up their brand. I think one of the key takeaways from her session was, she really zigged what everyone else was zagging. So unlike everyone that was, following the formula, relying on research tools to pick your product, picking like a small and lightweight product, her and her business partner went the other direction. They picked something that was oversized. They picked something that wasn't like, selling for $25. It was selling for $250, right? So she really thought differently. And then that's one of the top takeaways that I personally, learned from her session. And over time, she said that it's not like a smooth path to success. They weren't able to get rich quick overnight, right? They started in 2016, and through a lot of long hours, hard work, they traveled to China. There were problems with their product. The first product wasn't a home run. They got some negative reviews. They got some 2-star reviews. However, she took that feedback and then she iterated from that. So, she was able to take that feedback and then make the modification according to the reviews. So I think that's another key to the success, how she was able to improve her product. And then she scaled her business. And over time, she scaled to 7 figures. And then they exited late last year. I think it was like September of 2020. So if you haven't checked out her session yet, definitely check that out. All right. And quick shout out to Nancy. It's great that you could join us today. Excellent. And also, if you have any questions, talking about preparing your business for an exit, please let us know. So maybe you're already in the 7-figure range. Maybe, you're thinking about it because right now, again, like the state of the market for Amazon businesses, it's kind of crazy, right? I mean, there's been $1 billion that was raised in capital, by a lot of the investment firms. So a lot of the quote unquote smart money is getting into the Amazon game right now. Because if you were to ask me like 5 years ago, Gary, I'm thinking about selling an Amazon business. I mean, I probably would have thought you were out of your mind, right? I mean, who in their right mind would buy an Amazon business 5 years ago? But today, the landscape is completely changed, right? I mean, with the pandemic, we're seeing, physical shops closing down. Everything's going online to e-commerce, right? And Amazon controls the biggest piece of the pie in e-commerce. So a lot of the institutional investors, people like Thrasio, they're really getting into this space. So, $1 billion raised. And right now, many of these companies, these quote unquote aggregators, they have money and then they're ready to buy, right? So we totally are looking at that. So meanwhile, I would I would like to welcome our friend Ken Kubek from
Hey.
Thrash, who's joining us here today. And then we are live, Ken. We are day 5 at the Seven Figure Seller Summit live recap, talking all about exit. How are you doing, Ken?
I'm well. Yeah. How you guys doing?
Good. We're here live. I can see and hear you. And then I was just giving a quick recap about day 5 and exits, and we were talking a little bit about the marketplace right now for Amazon businesses, right?
Yep.
So maybe you can share your perspective, because I know Thrasio is making a lot of noise, and also a big thank you to Thrasio as well for sponsoring Seven Figure Seller Summit. You really helped us, make this happen. But at the same time, I think it's a golden time in e-commerce for Amazon sellers. So maybe to kick things off, Ken, sorry to just like throw you right in the fire, because I know you just joined. But yeah, maybe and where sorry, where are you joining from tonight, Ken?
Just outside. I live just outside of Boston. So
Excellent.
It's 7 p.m. and home office. Actually, just moved recently, so just getting settled amongst boxes.
Great. Did the move go smoothly?
Yeah, it was great. I mean,
Awesome.
moving with four kids is never easy, but we managed and did the best we could.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I think a lot of our audience members are in the same boat, right? We're working from home. We're trying to balance our business and our family and try to keep everybody happy. I mean, it's crazy, but I think it's an exciting time as well. So I'm just very grateful you could join us, Ken. So maybe to start things off, could you give us kind of like the pulse of the marketplace right now for Amazon business? What are you guys seeing from Thrasio?
Yeah, dynamic, right? It's when you look at what's transpired over the last 2.5 years since we started acquiring businesses, is really night and day. I mean, and what's interesting is that in any marketplace, right? There's two sides of it. There's the supply side and the demand side. I think a lot of the press and announcements, and rightfully so, given the size and scale and the burgeoning marketplace, gets focused on the buy side and the buyers, right? The fact that $2 billion has been committed over the past 6 months or 12 months, whatever it is. Close to $1 billion of that's under our belt on our balance sheet, to go out and acquire Amazon FBA businesses. And what I see from my side is the supply side is just as strong. I mean, our pipeline from 2 years ago is up, I would say 15 to 20x where it was 2 years ago this time. So I think it's just been people getting comfortable with it. There's a confluence of factors, right? People getting comfortable with selling their business. 2020 was a grind for Amazon sellers in terms of managing supply chain, right? You had to kind of the COVID shutdown in early part of the year, and then inventory restrictions as we headed into Q4, and new ASIN restrictions, et cetera. And then and obviously a very high demand Q4 season, which left people then scrambling and losing sales and frustration to wind up the year. But at the same time, it was a record year for e-commerce. And if you've been selling for 2, 3, 4 years, it probably was your record year, right? And everybody values Amazon businesses and prices the business based on the trailing 12 months earnings and profit. And for most people, they're at their peak. So it's a great time. I think we have this unique window as an Amazon seller, basically from now on the end of April, where you're still capturing that COVID bump. And I think it's gonna be really interesting from I would say the middle of Q2 through the end of Q3, what the marketplace looks like, right? Because I think you're going to see, a fair number of businesses that are showing, year-over-year decline in revenue, right? There was just a lot of people took pricing, as competitors ran out of inventory, right? And it was just a frenzied demand in that April-May time period for anything online. And I think people now have gotten comfortable with it. Look, COVID's still here. It hasn't gone anywhere. The vaccines are being rolled out, and anecdotally, when I go into stores, they're really not, they're not that full. So I think people have established the new normal of check online first if I can't get it there, which pretty much everything you can, or people are just getting stir crazy and they just want to go out and they want that sense of normalcy. So they go to the grocery store once a week, right? Instead of 3 times a week, just to get out and have that sense of normalcy. So it's really, it's dynamic, right? We're getting multiple inbound leads every day from sellers that want to have the discussion. And we're trying to process those as quickly as we can. And have the conversation. So it's really exciting. I've fought the last 2.5 years to get to this point from my side, right, to where people are coming and knocking on our door, which is a great position to be in, and it creates a very positive engagement with sellers.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, thanks for that recap. And I agree. I mean, it is super exciting and it's unprecedented, like the growth of e-commerce. And we're still seeing it continue in 2021. Exactly what you said. There's a lot of uncertainties. So, I mean, I think it's a golden time to be in e-commerce. So meanwhile, I'd like to give some quick shout outs to some of our viewers in the audience. And if you are watching right now live, I think it will be really amazing if you can invite, someone that's selling on Amazon, maybe like they didn't know about this, the live that we're doing, talking about exits, how to prepare your business for an exit. We have Ken from Thrasio. I mean, they're one of the biggest players in the market. I mean, you can get your questions answered live. I think it's like a valuable opportunity. So I would love if you could share this, if there's someone that you think this could help. All right. So let's give some quick shout outs. Nancy, good to see you. You can hear us. Great. We are live, so sometimes there's issues, but looks like we're good. Asmi, good to see you again. You've done a great job bringing in a variety of experts where we can learn from. There is at least one or more takeaway from each session. Thank you.
Thanks.
Robert, good evening. The home office product business is booming. Yeah, excellent. And Nancy had some takeaways. So before we started, I asked people, what were takeaways from day 1 through 4?
Yeah.
Day 5, this is like the last mile. We have 34 sessions. So some of the key takeaways.
Awesome.
Nancy said, still opportunity, great community, significant ecosystem of tools and services, more threats than a few years ago. So diversify. And also perfect time to prep to sell if you're at that point in your business. Run your business like you're going to sell it from day 1. Excellent. Yep. I see you have been taking notes, Nancy. I love it. All right. And we have a question from Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Would you be in a better position to sell if the bulk of your revenue comes from Amazon versus other channels like Shopify? What do you think, Ken?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a question that we often discuss at the senior management level at Thrasio, right? What is our acquisition strategy? How is that evolving right now? And I would say there's no right or wrong answer to this. I think it depends on the percentage. So I often tell people, hey, they're spending 30% of their time on 5% of their revenue from Shopify and dedicating all this time and energy and resources. And it's a different business model, right? The beauty of Amazon is they're bringing your customers, they bring the customers to you. You basically have a customer acquisition cost that's set at 15% referral fee for most categories. And then plus your advertising spend, which, for Amazon sellers kind of ranges anywhere from 4 to 10 to 12%. And so you have kind of fixed, for all intents and purposes, a fixed cost, customer acquisition cost and economics that you can really build a strong, profitable, very cash flow positive business around. Now, Shopify is totally different. You have to know how to go out and acquire the customers, and they don't just come to you. So oftentimes I'll see sellers and they say, "Oh, I'm doing 20% of my revenue on Shopify." I'm like, "Great. What kind of contribution product margins are you running on Shopify?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know," or "I'm not making money on Shopify." Right. So I often refer to that as diversification versus diversification, because if you're concerned about Amazon coming and doing a bot sweep or something like that, and your account getting shut down, and you have 90% of your business there, your business is going to be shut down, right? You're not going to pivot that quickly, particularly if you haven't executed and have the expertise of Shopify running Facebook and Google ads, et cetera, right, to drive traffic. Now,
Right.
and I think there's also different business models on Shopify, right? If you're a high subscribe, repeat customer product and business, Shopify is great. There's a lot of value in that, right? Because now you build up your own customer email lists and customer sets that you can launch new products into. And you can actually go out and spend, if you have a customer lifetime value, if you're ordering every month, like the supplement space and, beauty and things like that, food, if you're ordering every month, and you can calculate, okay, what's the lifetime value of that customer, i.e. the average customer makes purchases over 8 months, then what's your profit on that over that 8-month period per customer? Now you know how much you can actually go out and spend to acquire an additional customer, right? And that's when you get really interesting businesses on Shopify, and that's why all direct to consumer businesses that have a high subscribe and save or repeat customer rate tend to trade at much higher multiples than just an Amazon business because of that, right? You own the customer. There's a lot of data in that. There's a lot of value in the customer set that you own, and you don't own that on Amazon, right? Amazon does. So it really depends. We've seen businesses that, they're just marketing spend, right? So they're not getting a lot of organic traffic, and we don't put a lot of high value on just businesses that are strictly running, all marketing, like all paid revenue. Right. So it really depends on the model. It can definitely be complementary. We're launching a lot of D2C sites this year for, Shopify sites for brands we acquired last year. It's a big initiative for us, and we see a lot of value in driving, traffic from off of Amazon back to Amazon. A lot of our work that we've done, obviously Amazon's algorithm loves that when you're bringing traffic into the platform.
Right. And I think one of the key things that you mentioned that I like to emphasize, Ken, is, beware diversification, right? Not just diversification. Because, you can't just expect to throw up a Shopify store and expect it to do well from day one. You got to learn all, driving traffic, all the marketing. It's like a different skill set compared to Amazon FBA, right?
Yeah.
So from the buyer's perspective, is there a benchmark that buyers like to see in a business? If, let's say, is there X amount of revenue they like to see coming from a second channel that's substantial enough, not just I
think it's, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So it's really up to the buyer. For us, I can just say we love nothing more than seeing 100% Amazon US with 3 SKUs, right? I mean, and it's in our target market. It's doing over, $1 million in revenue, and that's the profile. We love that business, right? As long as they have the leadership positioning in 1 or 2 of those SKUs, which they probably do if they're of that size. So now, a seasoned sales exec from a big software company that's trying to, wants to have their hand in entrepreneurship that looks to buy an Amazon FBA business, they're probably going to want more diversification than that, right? Yeah. Because there is, right? I mean, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to fight in the Amazon arena, you're going to lose a leg, an arm, and you might not be able to bounce back from that, right? I think we've been at this for 2.5 years. We have the platform. We know how to run bestsellers, how to keep the bestseller tag, get the Amazon Choice badge, get deals of the day, all that stuff that you need to do when you have that leadership positioning. I think that's where a lot of owners get fatigued. Because I think that's one of the biggest learnings we had early days. The first 6 months of buying businesses was that, we're like, all right, this is great. The original thesis was buy kind of businesses on the bottom of page 1, use our SEO, know-how and expertise and capital, and drive them to the top. We found out that that's a lot harder than we envisioned at the outset. So then we pivoted and said, well, let's just buy the leaders and defend them, and then grow them, either take them across, in international marketplaces, other marketplaces in the US, and direct. But what we realized is we really need to know how to play defense and offense. And I think that's where a lot of people will stumble. And that's a lot of the businesses we're seeing are sellers that, were early on Amazon, right? They were the amazing AMS, 3 or AMS 4 in 2014, 2015, when it was really easy to get reviews. It wasn't against, TOS to go out and have, give away products for reviews and use review groups. And they knew how to play that game really well. And the playing field has dramatically shifted over the past 2 years. I think anybody that's been on Amazon selling for the last 5 years can attest to that, yes. Right? So, and a lot of people just don't know how to do it. Like, they don't know the new rules, right? They don't know how to. They're playing on the old field, and they're getting further and further away from the new one. So that's where expertise in supply chain and marketing and product development and track SEO really comes into play.
100%. Yeah, that's great feedback. And Nancy says, great term, diversification. I'm going to start using that some more.
Yeah, go ahead. I've been using it. Yeah. It's I've been getting this question since for the past 2 years from people. And you see, I'm sure there's people on that were on saying, yeah, diversify, and do it if it makes sense economically. Don't just do it to do it. Right. And that's important.
Makes sense. All right. So let's keep going. And Nancy, thanks for that question. And I hope that helps. So feel free to ask follow-up questions. So if you just joined us late, we are at the 7-Figure Seller Summit. It's day 5. We're talking about exits. So all the different aspects of how to prepare your Amazon business to sell it. And right now we're with Ken Kubek from Thrasio. So it's a golden opportunity to ask questions, how you can maximize your exits, how to prepare, and anything else related to that. All right, so let's keep going, guys. Next, Robert had a comment. I am selling desk organizers for home offices. Home office search terms are in the top 10 Amazon searches. And I'm curious, Ken, what are some of the categories that are very hot, like quote unquote hot right now in the eyes of the whole, like the whole acquisition space? Yeah.
Look, pets, right? So I think pets just in general, not only in Amazon, but just D2C and acquisitions, right? There's been a massive pet boom. As people were sitting at home, either looking for something for their kids to do, something new, something fresh, right? Adoptions are have been skyrocketing last year, from animals and purchases, right? So and that's a long-lived, your customer base just had a massive step function, similar to like the baby boomer, right? Like where you just have this bolus of a population that's now you can sell into and track them along, right? So I think that's been a really hot space. Obviously the home office. It's interesting. We've seen a lot of businesses, everything from, Robert, like your category, kind of standing desks, calendars and whiteboards and things like that. Pulse oximeters. We looked at a few of those businesses that had, when COVID was, people were saying, well, it's all about your blood oxygen levels, and pulse oximeters clip on your finger, it's $15-$20 little plastic unit over the counter, and you could measure your oxygen level and your blood pressure. And people were saying that was an early indication of COVID, right? Before a test where anybody could really get tested. So as a buyer, it's actually tough for us when we look at those businesses, because there's a lot of different variables to look at, right? Cool. You kind of need to have how long is this going to last, right? Is working from home the new normal? Are people going to resume going back to offices? In which case you've had peak demand over the past 12 months, and what happens when demand, starts to decrease year over year? And there's a flood of Chinese suppliers that have come into this market, right? Because they saw it too, and they're readily able to get product in, right, if they're manufacturing it. So it's honestly the trickiest acquisitions are these acquisitions that have been heavily positively levered to the COVID situation. Great businesses, and we bought a few. There's a few we've passed on because the seller expectations were misaligned with our future growth expectations, and we couldn't
What
come
are some
closer.
of those like misalignments, or from the buyer's perspective, what is something that would turn you guys off from Amazon business owners?
Yeah, right. Like massive price increases, right? That you can argue that they're going to be sustained, but you could also just as easily argue that they're going to revert to where they were pre-COVID, right? And so, like, oftentimes you'll see a business that was running at 15-20% net contribution margins jump up to 35%. Like, that's a big red flag. Like, it's great as for the seller, right? You're doubling basically your profitability and your take home in your cash flow. But if a mundane commodity was selling at $10, and because of supply constraints and outsized, 2, 3, 4x, demand curve spikes, it went to $13, right? When that demand normalizes, prices will normalize. Like, prices always go down to the, particularly in Amazon, the marginal, lowest marginal cost producer typically is where prices settle. So the cost structure, right, doesn't change. It's just the demand side does, and that will eventually normalize. And it may not. I mean, it might be more sustainable, right? As you get, people that weren't used to buying something online, and now that's where they're going to buy it. So
That's right.
that's the biggest thing that as a buyer we look at, and that will make
sustainability, right?
Sustainability. So I would say sustainability of price increases has been a big one. That's been a focus of ours, and having that conversation, right? And a lot of sellers are like, yeah, I get it, right? But they have a multiple or price in their head, and they're like, well, this is what I earn, so I should be getting that as the market multiple. Like, yeah, but you basically over earned, and we'll work through them. We do a lot of scenario analysis on that and say, hey, here's what we think the real numbers are, and if you're willing to make a bet that that's sustainable, we're happy to structure a deal that allows you to get paid if it is, right? But if not, it's asymmetric risk for us as a buyer.
Excellent. That's a great point, Ken. And Robert, thanks for that comment. And we're expecting another guest, and we have someone in the backstage. I just want to see if this is Lucy. Lucy, is that you? Can you hear us? Lucy, are you there? Okay. Oh, we are live, so bear with us.
Lucy is not.
Yeah, I see
Steven. Hopefully she's alive. But
yeah, I mean, Lucy, like we're on Messenger. I think she's running a little late because we have, Lucy's in Australia, and I think we got like the time zones mixed up. But anyways, let's keep going, guys. We have some great questions. Quick shout out to Nutu from New Zealand. Thank you for all this valuable information. You're welcome. Great. Robert says Amazon FBA is the best way to scale up unlimited. Agreed. Yes. And next we have.
I would say scale up profitably.
Yes, scale up profitably. Yeah, that's true. I remember when I first started selling on e-commerce many years ago, back in the 2000s. I started off on eBay. It was like 2005, Ken.
Yeah.
And at that time, Amazon FBA didn't exist, and I was doing all of the pick and packing. I had like a Zebra thermal printer. I had my little desk, and I had like my shelf. I was selling like women's shoes, and I was kind of like running around and then driving to the post office. And I thought I was the man. I was like running my own business. But now you can outsource all of that to Amazon FBA. You can just delegate. And I'm operating my business anywhere in the world. I was in Shanghai for like a decade. I'm in Japan now. I'm still running my Amazon FBA business because everything is, you can delegate, and everything is fulfilled remotely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the fact that we're looking that, it's commonplace now for us to take a look at a $5 million a year profit business that has 6 people running it. I mean, it's just, think about that from like a small business standpoint. That might, if you're in a business services or some other industry, you probably have a team of 30 people in an office, in an office park, driving $5 million of profit, right? I mean, it's an amazing opportunity. It still is, I think. I do not think the gold rush is over by any means.
100%. And next, we have a question from Nancy at Ken. We're hearing that the businesses that are selling are in the $1 million to $5 million range. Are you or others brokering in the sub 100,000 range? What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's sites out there. So Flippa is one, Empire Flippers. The brokers, the broker's model obviously is they do a lot of work. They help you create your financials, your kind of pitch book for investors, and so they get a fee for that, right? And so the less that the fees are range anywhere from 8 to 15% of deal price. And let's just say you're doing 50,000 in profit, or revenue, or is that what you're asking, Nancy? Revenue or profit? Anyway, either way, if you're lower than the range of what's typically being transacted, it's just they're not incented they're not going to get paid enough to spend time doing all that legwork for you to represent you to buyers and set up calls and be on calls, etc. So there's sites there, I think Digital Exits, Flippa, there's other sites where you can just list the business yourself. I think Website Properties maybe is one of them. And you can just broker it yourself. Okay. I think it's interesting, in terms of market dynamics, if you're between 1 and call it 3 million in revenue, this is like, I'd be hitting the market tomorrow, because what we're seeing is in that range is where all these other aggregators that are raising capital, that's where that's where they want to cut their teeth, right? They don't want to go out and buy $1 million, 2 million, 3 million, profit, size business. They don't want to buy a business that's doing 10 million in revenue and 2 million in profit as their first or second or third acquisition. I mean, we didn't do that either. So we understand what they're doing, right? It's a portfolio theory. And, if you buy a business of that size, you use up a lot of capital. And if you get it wrong, you're not going to be able to make it to the next funding rate, the next round of funding. Because investors are going to look at it and say, well, what happened here? This is your largest acquisition. It's 30% of your business and it's down 25%. What happened? And I think that's going to happen. I think 2022 is going to be I think a shakeout and a reckoning for some of these aggregators. This isn't easy, and if you're not an operator, you don't have a strong operational team, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, excellent. So I'm curious, Ken, if let's say your business isn't at the $1 million annual revenue mark yet. Let's say you're in the mid 6-figure range. What sort of multiple, or what sort of what difference would you expect compared to like above $1 million range in terms of the multiple, and also in terms of the interest level? I mean, is there just less interest overall if your business is in that range?
Probably, right? I mean, I think you just have different buyers. I think at that level, if you've been around for a while, a couple of years, and you could qualify for an SBA, a Small Business Association loan for buyers, that would definitely be attractive. I think the biggest is it's just risk. It's probably less well established. You probably don't have a leadership positioning. If it's one SKU or two SKUs and it's doing that, I mean, honestly, we'd look at that. It's more if you have a diversified portfolio and you're ranked 20 to 35 in all your products, it's just not right. That could go, away in 6 months, right? You got to invest a lot of money. If you're a buyer, you're gonna have to invest a lot of money to get the review quantity up and SEO and advertising and launch new products, etc. So at that point, you're like, maybe do I just go out and launch a new product and spend the money to do that? Right, or build a new brand from scratch if you're adept at product launching.
Right, excellent. All right, great. Thanks for that question, Nancy. And let's keep going, guys.
Good question.
All right, and if you guys have any questions, you just joined. Please feel free to type it in the chat. All right, so we have about 20 minutes left before we have to run. And also, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Thrasio and the fact that Thrasio is offering a free expert business valuation to any attendee at the Seven Figure Seller Summit. And Ken, if it's okay, can I drop that link in the chat for people to check out if they're interested?
Yeah,
is that cool with you? All
absolutely.
right. Great. So, I mean, I think this is a valuable opportunity for you guys that may be thinking about exiting, and definitely check that out in the chat. I linked it up in the chat. So it's connect.thras.io schedule-valuation-seven figure seller summit. That's a mouthful. So, I mean, that's why we put it in the chat. You can just click through,
Just
and also
copy and paste it or click through.
yeah. And also at the summit, anytime you see Thrasio's logo, you can click through, you can book a expert business valuation. Who's this for, Ken? Who should book a consultation with Thrasio?
Yeah, I mean, look, anybody that is interested in selling now or in the future. I think it right. It always is good to get a sense of where you're at today and where where we would value the business today, and you can make a decision on, hey, all right, well, I'm on a growth trajectory. This is where I think I can get it to. I'm gonna, it could be motivation to double down, right? And I think a lot of people, when they see a number, they're like, oh wow, okay, that's real, right? I mean, a lot of business owners aren't paying themselves. They're not making a lot of money, particularly in the early days, right? You're reinvesting all your profits back into inventory and working capital to grow the business, and oftentimes your biggest payday, does come when you exit. Yeah. And there is still a lot of risk, if you're a solo entrepreneur and you don't have tons of resources, to something happening, right? You get attacked by a competitor, you run out of stock, you're chasing supply, you're out of stock for a month and a half, and your BSR drops dramatically, and then you got to spend, for the next 3 months to get it back up to where it was in advertising, right? There's a lot of it's becoming more pay to play on Amazon, so. I think it's for anybody that's just curious. I mean,
cool.
My team loves just talking with sellers. We do it day in and day out. It's the best part of the job.
Yeah, I can tell. And Ken shared in his session earlier today, he really has a come as you are mentality when it comes to advising sellers, right? I mean, you don't necessarily have to have all your ducks up, aligned in a row, right? I mean, you can just come and see like, hey, maybe, there's this thing's going well, but maybe you gotta, work on that. You gotta beef up that a little bit. And, it's just exploratory. I think, you never know unless you ask, right? So, I mean, this is a direct pipeline to one of the biggest players. I think it could be very valuable for some of you guys out there. All right. So definitely check that out. So let's get back to the questions, guys. So this is great. And next is Audrey. If I have 2 brands and only want to sell one, is it essential to have them on 2 separate Seller Central accounts or not? Thanks. What do you say?
Not essential, easier. But definitely not essential. I mean, we can do ASIN transfers. It just takes longer, right? So the process is basically, we start ordering inventory, kind of day one in our Seller Central account, and then once you have to sell off your inventory through years, and then in the back end you transfer the ASIN over. And then we're able to turn on with our inventory. And oftentimes I think we start like selling on the same listing. I forget. I don't know how our operations really does it. I just know it takes long, depending on how much inventory you have, how many ASINs you have in the brand itself. An account takeover is obviously easier. So if you are just starting out, I definitely would recommend separating. But if you just plan on selling one at a time, it can be done. We've done it. But like even, it's been tougher recently doing ASIN transfers because of it, it gets read as a new ASIN in the Seller Central account, right? So when Amazon had inventory restrictions, ASIN transfers got caught up on that. Yeah, so we had to, delays the transfer and things like that. It's just it's a longer migration process.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's really good advice. And Audrey, I don't know if you checked out one of our prior year sessions. Last year we had Mike Jackness, and he had exited one of his brands. He runs multiple 7-figure brands, and he's very transparent on his session that was one of his biggest quote unquote mistakes. The fact that he didn't have all of his brands separated into separate accounts and separate LLCs as well. And then he said it was very time staking. It was like very frustrating to have to like do all of that separation from the legal side, from the Amazon side. And he said that it actually cost him a lot of money, like potential, like, money left on the table, because it was very time intensive. So
yeah, and I would say,
yeah,
and not a lot of buyers have experience doing that. Right. I mean,
right.
we've worked with, the website closers and empire flippers, and 2 years ago trying to figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
And do it effectively. So I think it does. I think it's a great point, Gary. I think it does. It would scare off some buyers. Definitely, you would definitely narrow your buyer pool if you were doing ASIN transfers versus full account takeovers.
Okay, awesome, great. So thanks for that question, Aubrey. And next, Robert had a comment. Chinese manufacturers know how to make good stuff, but do not know American marketing skills.
Agreed.
What do you think? Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I look. I tell people always ask me, like, what piece of advice do you give the seller? And it's always, spend $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is, on professional photography. Right, get your lifestyle images, get videos. That's just a massive way to differentiate in Amazon that Chinese manufacturers usually don't do.
Right.
And same thing, the SEO, right? SEO and marketing, right? Campaign management, etc. And I think, they often, the photos is just a big tell, and it's probably one of the highest ROIs that, a seller can spend money on.
Yeah, we're 100% can. I mean, talking about images, it's like that old expression, image is everything, right?
Yeah.
If you it's really like the only touch point that people shopping online have. And one of our earlier sessions with Vadim Petrov from Zonphoto, he runs a photography agency for Amazon sellers. He really laid down not just like how to shoot photos, but kind of like the psychology behind it, right? Because you're really trying to simulate like the offline experience online. So
if the purchaser's journey, right?
Exactly.
The pictures, the 6 pictures, should be sequentially walking them through the buyer journey.
Yeah. Exactly. So if you guys didn't check out that session, Vadim's session was earlier this week. It's closed now, but we have the all access pass. If you guys want to upgrade, unlock all 34 sessions, definitely check that out. And then just 2 quick comments about Chinese manufacturers. One is I wrote in my weekly newsletter earlier today that, of course, there's a lot of Chinese sellers. The study said 75% of all new Amazon sellers with .com in the US are Chinese sellers. I mean, is this the end of the world? Are they taking over? I kind of have like a contrarian view, because personally, I have worked in China. I've lived in China for over a decade, in Beijing, in Shanghai. And I've seen, I've gone shopping in China, online and offline, and the number one marketing tactic, that strategy most popular with Chinese companies, and you probably know this, Ken, is price. Okay, low price, competing on price. You don't see as much, savviness when it comes to the branding, when it comes to, high-end type products in terms of the brand story. I mean, if you look globally, I can't really think of like a luxury or a high-end Chinese brand. I mean, you see some on the more like, economical side. So, I kind of challenge that mentality. I think of it the other way. I mean, there's like, in terms of pricing, there's like different segments of the market, right? There's like the low end, like the cheapskates, but there's like the middle market, and there's the premium end as well. So I think, the Chinese may be doing very well on the low end, but I think there's also 2 other parts of the pie that, is not as competitive, that many people, watching here today can go after.
I would even, and I would just, I would add a 1B to Robert's point too, and that would be customer service.
Right. That's right.
Particularly for higher price point products, that's a big differentiator where you can really, differentiate yourself, and that'll show up obviously in product ratings.
And my second comment is to you, Ken. Is Thrasio making some noise in the Chinese Amazon marketplace at all? Are you looking to acquire Chinese businesses?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely exploring it. I mean, we want to be, everywhere consumers are globally. That's our, objective. We're not, I don't like the phrase an Amazon roll up. Like, that's not what we're building. That's not how we think of ourselves. If you look at, the scale and the platform that we've put together, it's now well over 750 people globally. And, we're not just sitting there saying we're rolling up Amazon stores, right, and Amazon products. So, we're looking at it, right? I mean, we're going to probably explore it more this year. What it is, a lot of manufacturers are, selling direct, and it'll be interesting because from their standpoint, it probably have to be some pretty big incentive as to, to let go of the product line if they're also manufacturing it, right?
Right.
Margins have to be pretty good. And but if they don't want to manage the ASINs and have an agency, and a lot of them too will, they partner with. I mean, I've seen videos and pictures of floors, like rows and rows of desks and high rises of Amazon sellers, and they're launching 50 products a day, and each person is responsible for selling 10 units a day for the brand, and these brands they're conglomerates, and they're selling 200 300 million a year in revenue, right?
So like
we would
speed in China is amazing. I mean, just how fast paced everything is, and people just operate on a whole another level. And I was in Shanghai, and I feel like Shanghai is like New York on steroids.
I've never been. I mean, I wasn't planning on going over this year, last year, obviously pre-COVID, but it's it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
Right.
On the Amazon platform, I really think we focus a lot on product quality, so we're oftentimes getting new suppliers, upgrading the materials, and using our size and scale advantage to upgrade materials and keep the cost the same. We do a lot of work on that in the diligence and migration process, to make sure that the supply chain is high quality, and the products are what they say they are, and they're being built and constructed ethically, and two, that they have the capacity, which has been an issue for some of the companies we've bought, because we're oftentimes the first PO that when we buy the business, the first PO is oftentimes like 3 to 4x larger than previous purchase orders, because of our growth forecasts, and that's our FP&A and marketing and SEO,
and your capital as well, right? I mean, you're
we have
well capitalized, right? Compared to your Amazon, your typical.
We're going to shoot for a deal of the day, and we need 10,000 units on hand, and then we want to make sure we capture the drift off of that, and so we need X amount more. And we're happy to shoot for 6 months of inventory for all of our top ASINs. It's hard. It's just been hard to get there. We've dealt with stockouts and everything, just like everybody else. Like, we're not perfect. We're not. It's just like every other business. I mean, just moving. We luckily didn't have to buy new appliances, but we have friends that just moved, and refrigerators are like 16-week lead time, like an average refrigerator. It's insane.
So do you just put like your steaks outside, like in the snow to?
Well, no, we kept the refrigerator that was in the house. Luckily.
Right. No, I'm just messing with you. Okay.
No, I know. We don't have a sink yet, so I've fallen victim to the sink. We're missing a faucet in our kitchen right now.
Wow. So. Okay. Well, I hope that works itself out soon. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's keep going, guys. This is good stuff. We only have a couple minutes left, and Asmi asked, what sort of involvement is expected from the original owner after selling the business afterwards in regards to operations?
It's really a la carte. so we start to have those discussions up front before we even sign a term sheet, right? What does the seller want? What's their ideal outcome? What's their objective post sale of the business? And we've two seller teams have become product launch teams within Thrasio, and they're now, one of them scaled up to has a 20-person product launch team, right? So they were just awesome product engineers, and that was their passion, not running a business and running advertising and things like that. I would say for the most part, sellers, once we do the migration and it's been successful and all the knowledge transfer has taken place, there is no required involvement of 3 months or 6 months or anything like that. So, I say that it's still, there's no better marketplace or platform to be launching on today, in my opinion. And so, and selling on Amazon is a very defined skill set, right? That you can leverage, and it doesn't really matter what you're selling, right? Which is one of the beauties of it. Like, you don't have to be a beauty person if you're doing direct and you're building brands. You're a beauty company or you're a beauty seller, right? You're not going to then pivot to auto floor mats and trunk organizers and trash cans like you can do on Amazon, right?
Right.
And so that skill set is immensely valuable, and we don't want to tie people up. We'd rather, we've already bought two businesses, the second businesses from sellers that they started after they sold us their original business, which is pretty awesome. Right. Yeah. So use that time. I'd go build another, multi-million-dollar Amazon business and then sell that. And kind of keep parlaying.
Yeah. And we saw several of the 7-figure sellers on the summit do exactly that. People like Michelle Benton, based in UK, she exited her first business, 7 figures, and she's building her next one. Lucy Sherman is doing that. Ben Leonard. In the UK, he's doing, his new brand. So, it's not game over. Once you exit your first brand, that could just be like the second inning of the game, right? You can still get back in. Obviously, you can't, compete against, in the same niche, right?
There's non-compete. Non-compete is always part of it, right?
Right.
When you sell any business.
That's true. But the important thing is you can take your skill set, you can take your experience, your mistakes, what you learn from, apply it in a new brand. In a different niche, but you still have that advantage, right? So
you can keep your team in place if you have VAs that you love, and
great. All right. So let's keep going, guys. Robert says Thrasio is building a herd of cash cows. Awesome. And let's keep going. Audrey said, I'm just starting. That's why I asked. Yes, totally remember that. Get a lesser valuation. Yep. Robert says, when is your IPO?
It's a great question. You get asked that a lot. We don't know. I think, we're not, I would say, if you were a fly on the wall on our senior leadership meetings, it's really all about, scaling this to $10 to $50 billion organization. And I think, if and when a public offering comes, we would just view it more as, a cost of capital and fundraising exercise versus the goal, right? I think we have our sights on bigger things. It would be interesting. We could do a lot of different things if we were, public, or our stock was publicly traded, from an acquisition standpoint, which would be cool. I wish I had the magic 8 ball on that one too, Robert, selfishly.
Okay, great. And Audrey says, how close are you to launching your incubator program?
Yeah, that's another topic du jour internally as well. I think, you should reach out. I'd love to talk to you about it. It's something we're actively discussing. I think what you're going to see from us this year is much more community involvement, right? I think we kind of were a crouching tiger over the past 2 years, because we knew once we came out and really started to make waves that a lot of people would want to follow in our footsteps and, be more competitive on the acquisition side. So I think we're very confident in our abilities to operate Amazon brands once we acquire them. So we've been getting increasingly more vocal, and a big part of that is going to be getting more involved in the seller ecosystem, right? From all different angles. One of which could be this, right, training and incubation, seeding of entrepreneurs.
Excellent. Yeah, that's exciting news. And please keep us up to date about that
Yeah.
incubator program, Ken.
Yeah.
And thanks. Yeah, Audrey, feel free to follow up with Ken on the
Yeah.
details, either on the sessions page. You can contact Ken through there, or and also, what I'd like to ask Ken, how can people follow up with you if they'd like to connect and learn more?
Yeah, just email Ken at thras.io is probably the best form. LinkedIn, Facebook. It's pretty funny. I was laughing. Someone the other day was like, your email is just your first name at thras.io. And I was like, yeah, that was, the early employees and founders. We thought we were only going to be a 25-person organization. So everybody, you could tell all the early people just have their first names at thras.io.
It's like Jeff at Amazon.com.
Yeah, exactly. And we're like, and then I think we hired, maybe it was a Mike. Yeah, we hired I think 2 Michaels. And we're like, oh shit, this isn't going to work.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, this is awesome. And Ken, I believe that Thrasio has a giveaway, a $200 gift basket of some of your Herd of Cash Cow brands, products.
Oh, cool,
right? Yeah. All right. How should we do this? And just as a reward for everyone for sticking around until the end, do you have how should we do this? It's like trivia question, or what do you prefer?
I don't know how many people are in here.
We don't have that many people. We have around 15, 20 people here.
Well, I would just say everybody who's in here gets it.
Everyone that gets in here. All right. Kathy is really excited. Kathy says me.
No, yeah, we'll take everybody's name who's in here right now, and we'll give it to everybody.
Okay, let's do that. So how should we do that? Email Ken? Should everyone email Ken to get it?
Yeah, or Gary, if you want to collect all the names and addresses, or I don't know if you have it in the back end, or just email me. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Or can you screenshot, or just I don't want them telling friends and all that. So can you just screenshot all the people or the roll call right now?
If you're in the room now, comment yes. Okay, if you want to get the free swag, and we're gonna screenshot this only for the people in the room. Comment your name and yes, because sometimes it just says Facebook user. Okay, so we have Kathy Y. Okay, we have Nancy Clark. Congratulations. We have Audrey, who says, my man. Congrats. Kathy says, LOL, thank you. Nancy says, you're awesome. Kathy Y says, yes. We have Asmi Kiabdin. Congrats. We have Nutu. Yes, congrats, Nutu. Facebook user, please comment your name and yes. See, that's the issue with Facebook. Sometimes it doesn't display.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes. So Janice, we have you. Awesome. Elfrida, good to see you. Elfrida Adams, congratulations.
Nice.
So Nutu is Malcolm Smith. Yes. Vikram, yes, congrats. And Robert Fitzgerald, congratulations, Robert. This is awesome. Cool. All right. So I think that's a wrap, guys. This has been amazing. This is the last session of the 7-Figure Seller Summit. I just quickly like to thank everyone. And also Kelly Lowe, congratulations. I just like to thank everybody for watching. I thank you, Ken and Thrasio, for helping and with not only sponsorship, but helping us promote, and also your fantastic session. The key questions to ask before you sign your LOI. If you guys haven't seen it, it's still available right now. You can click through and watch it. And I think just really quick, if I can take just like 2 minutes to just wrap up, some of my top takeaways. I really did this to myself personally. I'm selling on Amazon, so I'm scratching my own itch. But more importantly, right now I feel like 2021 is a golden year in e-com. You see a lot of successful sellers. They're able to change their life. They're able to build a business. They can spend more time with their family. They have freedom. So I think it's a valuable once in a lifetime opportunity right now. So that's why I created the summit, and I'm really excited. We have over 3,000 people that register from all over the world, including everybody watching right now, which is amazing. And I think right now, exits, it's really hot right now. If you have an Amazon business that kind of ticks those boxes we mentioned earlier, why not talk to Thrasio? Why not follow with Ken? Just come as you are, right? I think right now it could be once in a lifetime opportunity. So, I mean, I think that's why we did the summit in just 6 months from last time, because the market is changing so fast. I really wanted to help as many people as I can. So thank you everybody for coming on. And then also quick shout outs to the other sponsors. Getita, thank you for your support. Yoni, you've been amazing. Thank you to Ping Pong Payments as well. If you're looking for an international payments processor, Ping Pong is great. Very competitive fees. If you're selling in international markets, you want to bring that money back home. Big thanks to Ryan and to Kenny there. And also thank you to CJ and his team at Rosenbaum and Famularo. If they're the Amazon seller's lawyer, if anytime you have issues with suspensions or you want to protect your brand, we talked about defense as well, right? You really want to shore up your business before you sell. Definitely check out CJ's session and also his firm, Rosenbaum Famularo. Quickly, I also like to thank my team. They're working feverishly behind the scenes to make sure everything goes smoothly here. Quick shout out to Josephine. Thank you for all of your help and the support and handling all the customer service questions. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you to Milan. He's our man, our developer. He really made all the back end, everything flow smoothly. And also thank you to Russell. He made all the awesome images that you guys seen, especially for our speakers, so you guys can share them. Thank you to Fung for all the video editing. Thank you to Shira with helping with our emails automation, and also our Facebook ads team. Thanks to Dejan, Marco, Vanda, and also to Primoz. Quick shout out. And also last but not least, thanks to my family. Just it's been a lot of late nights, early mornings, long hours working on the summit. So thank you to my wife Deborah for helping just deal with me when I'm crazy and taking care of our family. That's been awesome. And thanks to my son Harrison, he's 2. He's like running around. Sometimes you can hear baby noise working from home, so I mean that's the real life of the entrepreneur. I'm sure Ken, you can relate. You got 4 kids. So, and last but not least, thank you for joining us, everyone. Couldn't have done it without you guys. I hope this is helpful. I would love to hear your feedback. Send me an email, what you liked, what we can do to improve, so we can keep helping you build, scale, and exit your Amazon and e-commerce business. All right.
Hey, and Gary, hats off to you too. I mean, this is, been a part of a lot of these. It's not easy. It's a lot of work behind the scenes, and you and your team have done a tremendous job, and adding a lot of value to the community. So it's great. Thank you.
Yeah, that means a lot coming from you. So I appreciate that. And we're going to have this after party on Clubhouse afterwards. If you want to hang out with us, some of us are welcome as well. If you got some time.
Yeah, we did a Thrasio Clubhouse on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I was in the room. I saw that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I was. I think we were on from like 8:30 to midnight. We had to cut it off. There were still 250 people on there. I was like, I'm leaving. I gotta go to bed.
yeah. So we're gonna be on Clubhouse. So look for me. At Gary Huang. So we're gonna be there right after this. And other than that, we still have the all access pass. If you haven't upgraded, If you want to get the, unlock all 34 sessions, get some special bonuses as well, definitely check out sevenfiguresellersummit.com/order. And then just to close out, quick shout outs. Kathy says, thank you, Gary and Ken. Nancy says, Gary, fantastic summit. Great value for all access pass. Thanks, Nancy. Robert Fitzgerald says, xie. Thank you. Aubrey says, awesome summit. Gary, you are awesome. You are awesome, Audrey, thank you for joining us and your great questions. I hope this is helpful. And thanks a lot. Great session, Ken and Gary. Alfreda says, thank you for an awesome session. Robert says, plethora of information. Fantastic session with lots of value. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Gary's family. Yes, thank you. You too. Thank you very much, Gary. You're a star. I think the real stars are all you guys for coming. And you guys, if you can grow your business, let me know. Like that really encourages me that, I'm just not talking to the ether. This isn't like Netflix, right? I want you guys to implement this and to take action. So maybe next time you can be on the summit, sitting alongside us like Ken and the other speakers. So please keep us updated. New too. Kathy, so glad you found this summit through Gatita. You've been very helpful and valuable. Thank you. Well done, Gary and team. You guys are rock stars. Thank you. That's me. Thank you, Gary. And yes, Henry J says winning. Okay. Awesome. Nice. On that note.
That's a good way to end it.
Yes, excellent. So thank you so much, guys. And it's been a blast. We'll see some of you on Clubhouse later. And other than that, thank you again, Ken.
Thank you.
Everyone. Yes, and we will see you guys at the next session. Bye, everyone.
See ya.